Yes, we are looking at information, threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks. So, a threat is anything that can disrupt the operation, functioning, integrity, or availability of a network or a system. This can be anything from the malevolent, accidental, or simply an act of nature. Like you can have floods affecting the whole place, and then the systems go with the floods. You can have an earthquake, all of that. So the people eager, willing, and qualified to take advantage of each security weakness, and they continually search for new exploits and weaknesses. Those also cause threats. We have four primary classes of threats, and one is the unstructured threats. Under unstructured threats, they are mostly unexperienced individuals using available hacking tools such as the shell scripts and the passwords. Even unstructured threats that are only executed with the internet of testing and challenging hackers' skills can still do serious damage to our company. For example, if your friend or maybe your wife, your child or something gets the phone and begins to delete information, it's not that the child knows what he or she is doing. It is just an accidental or unstructured, but they will harm or damage the information. We have structured. These are trained or skilled workers who are highly motivated and technically competent. These people know system vulnerabilities and can understand and develop exploit code and script. They understand, develop, and use sophisticated hacking techniques to penetrate and susceptible business. So they are under fraud, theft, and all those agencies. We have external threats. These arise from individuals or organizations working outside of your company. So these people, sometimes we have what you call social engineers or social engineering. In this way, a person comes and switch talks you to get information about the company, and you end up giving out information about the company, the passwords, and these people gain access to your server. Internal threats. These occur when someone has authorized access to the network with either an account on a server or a physical access to the network. So these are insiders. A person is working within an organization. They have all the rights to access the system, so they can cause a lot of harm to them. They can cause a lot of threat to the system. Then we have vulnerability. It is an inherent weakness in the design, configuration, implementation, or management of a network or a system that renders it susceptible to the threat. Vulnerabilities are what makes networks susceptible to information loss and downtime. So every network and system has some kind of vulnerability, and somehow some of them are developed by software developers. We have an attack. This is intentional, something that you intend to do. So these use variety of tools, scripts, and programs to launch attack against networks and network devices. Typically, the network devices under attack are the endpoints such as servers and desktops. Then we have what we call reconnaissance. This is more or less like mapping or surveying. It is an unauthorized discovery and mapping of systems, services, or vulnerabilities. It is also known as information gathering, and in most cases it precedes an actual access or denial of service. Someone can attack your system and deny you service. You can't access your system, you can't use your system. So this is where we come to denial of service. It implies that an attacker disables or collapse network systems or services with the intent of denying service to the intended user. You're using a network, you're using your phone, eventually it gets off and you can't use it again. Why? Because someone altered it. These people now might tell you, please, they call you, then they tell you, put in this and this code. After putting in the code, the phone freezes. After it freezes, then you fail to gain access to the phone. That is denial of service. So it involves crashing the system or switching down to the point that it is unusable. The phone can switch off completely and it never gets to be used again. We have viruses. It is a program that is loaded on your computer without your knowledge and runs without your permission. It is designed to reproduce itself through legitimate process in a computer program and operating systems. Therefore, a virus requires host in order to replicate. A virus is different from a worm. A worm is a small piece of software that uses security holes within networks to replicate itself. For it to use security holes, the worm scans the network for another computer that has a specific security hole. So it copies itself to the new machine, exploiting the security hole, and then starts replicating from that system well. We have a Trojan horse. The term Trojan horse is usually used to refer to a non-replicating malicious program, which is the main characteristic that distinguishes it from a virus. Trojan horse often appears as an email attachment with enticing names that induce people to opening them. Someone sends you an email and is like, I'm an orphan, I was left here and there, so I want you to help me, I'm going to give you $1 billion. You're like, what? You open. It is just a Trojan horse. You're going to get an attack. System access. It is the ability for an individualized, unauthorized intruder to gain access to a device for which the intruder does not have an account or password. So, entering or accessing systems to which one does not have authority to access usually involves running a hack, script, or tool that exploits a known vulnerability of the system or application behind attacked. We have the trapdoor. A trapdoor or a backdoor is an undocumented way of gaining access to a system that is built into the system by its designer. Here, it is a designer who develops a trap or backdoor. It can be a program that has been altered to allow someone gain privileged access to a system or a process. You come up with a program, you build a script that will allow you to access the program wherever you are. Even when you sell the system, you remain with rights over that system. Then there have been numerous stories of vendors utilizing trapdoor with their customers. One example is the story of a consultant who was constructed to build a system for a company. The consultant built a backdoor in the delivered system. When the consultant and the company got into dispute over payment, the consultant used the trapdoor to gain access to the system and disabled the system. So the company was forced to pay the consultant to get its system turned back to gain. So you may get money. You say, please develop for me a system of 1 million. Then you're like, after all, this seems to be simple. Let me give you just 500. A person has already a program in which we call the backdoor. So that backdoor or a trapdoor will be used by the system designer who is going to close your system. Then you get back to the consultant or the designer to give you access. So you pay double instead of paying once and you leave the thing. Then you have the logic bomb. A logic bomb is a program or subsection of a program designed with malevolent intent. It is referred to as a logic bomb because the program is triggered when certain logic conditions are met. This type of attack is almost always perpetuated by an insider with privileged access to the network. The perpetuator could be a programmer or a vendor that supplies the software. Under this, a person will come up with a program. For example, says by the end of the month, you develop a program, you put it in the human resource program, and you're like, if there is any cause for termination, you close the program. So in case that condition is met, they raise that Aloysius is going to be terminated. The program will delete all information on the system. So that is what we call the logic bomb. That very time the condition is met, it closes the whole program. So we have the difference between the threat and an attack. As we read, we've said